Okay, what if I told you that a single phone call could completely empty your life savings? It's happening. There's a new, incredibly slick bank scam making the rounds, and it is so convincing that even the most careful, savvy people are getting their accounts wiped clean. So today, we're going to break down exactly how it works and, more importantly, what you can do to make sure it never happens to you. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. That's a real quote from a woman named Kate, one of the victims. Imagine waking up to that feeling. It's an absolute nightmare, and it's happening to people who thought they were doing everything right. This is exactly why we have to talk about this. And here's what that nightmare looks like in dollars and cents. This is the exact amount that Scott and Kate lost. And this didn't happen because of some complex hack or a stolen credit card. Nope. It all came down to one single, incredibly deceptive phone call. This is the kind of financial devastation we're talking about. So, you're probably wondering, how on earth did this happen? Well, for Scott, it all kicked off with a simple text message. It looked totally legit, like it was from his bank, warning him about a suspicious wire transfer for about $4,500. It's the kind of alert a lot of us have probably seen before. Now, here's the thing that makes this so scary. Scott wasn't being careless. He was actually being super cautious. He didn't click any links in the text. He didn't reply to it. Instead, he did the exact right thing. He picked up his phone and called his local bank branch directly. And this is where the trap was set. See, this isn't just one person's nightmare. It's a blue point for a widespread threat. This scam isn't about outsmarting you with fancy tech. It's about weaponizing the very trust you have in your bank. These scammers have engineered a process that just bypasses all the usual stuff we're trained to look out for. So here's exactly how they played it out. After Scott called his branch to check on things, he then replied no to that original text. Almost instantly, he gets another message saying a fraud specialist would be calling him. And when you know it, seconds later, his phone rings. The caller ID, it showed the exact fraud department number his bank had just given him. This is where your trust becomes their weapon. So how do they pull this off? It's a technology called phone number spoofing. Basically, it allows them to disguise their real number and make any number they want appear on your caller ID. So that call you think is from your bank's fraud department, it could be coming from a scammer anywhere in the world. This means checking the number just isn't enough protection anymore. And here's the thing you gotta understand. This is not about one specific bank. It doesn't matter who you bank with. The scammers are exploiting the universal way all banks communicate with us. They send text alerts, they pretend to be the fraud department, they use professional language. It could be a huge national bank or your small local credit union. If you have a bank account, you are a potential target. Okay, so that's the problem. And yeah, it's pretty scary and sophisticated. But what's the solution? How do we fight back? Well, we're going to walk through 4 rules. These are non-negotiable. I want you to think of this as your personal frontline defense system. Rule number 1, and this is maybe the most important one of all. If your bank unexpectedly calls or texts you, the conversation is over. You hang up, you don't reply, you just end it right there. Then you initiate a new call yourself, using the number on the back of your debit card. You have to be the one to start the conversation. Always. All right, rule number 2 is simple, and it's absolute. Your bank will never, and I mean ever, ask you to read a verification code back to them over the phone. Those codes are for you to type into a website or an app to prove it's you. They are sent for you, not from you. Anyone asking you to read that code out loud is a scammer, period. No exceptions. Rule 3, you have to recognize their main weapon, which is urgency. Scammers create this feeling of pure panic. They'll tell you your money is at risk right now, and you have to act immediately. A real bank does the exact opposite. If there's suspected fraud, they'll pause transactions, they'll slow things down to investigate. So if you feel that pressure, that rush, that's your biggest red flag. And the final rule. This is the end game for them. If anyone on the phone ever tells you that to protect your money, you must wire it to a new, secure account, that's not fraud prevention. That is the fraud. That's the crime happening in real time. You're not securing your money. You are literally handing it directly to the criminals. Now, following those rules is your best defense, for sure. But what if you think you've already made a mistake? What if you're feeling that horrible pit in your stomach right now? The panic is real. But having a plan is absolutely critical. Let's walk through the immediate steps you've got to take. In this situation, speed is everything. First, call your bank immediately using a trusted number, like the one on your card, not a number from a text or your call history. Tell them you think you're a victim of a scam. Second, lock it all down. Change your password, tell them to disable wire transfers, freeze your accounts if you have to. Third, file a report with the FBI at ic3.gov. This creates an official paper trail. And finally, you have to brace yourself for a hard truth. And this is that hard truth. We all hear about FDIC insurance, but it only protects you if your bank fails. It does not cover you if you are tricked into authorizing a payment or sending money to a scammer. Wire transfers are often irreversible, and getting that money back, while not impossible, is incredibly difficult. So as we wrap this up, let's just zoom out for a second. This story isn't really about sophisticated hacking or some crazy technology. Scott and Kate weren't careless. They were targeted by a scam that played on familiarity and panic. The real defense isn't something you can download. The most important thing to take away from this is that your best protection isn't a better password or some new security app. It's discipline. It's the habit of just slowing down when you feel rushed. It's about taking a breath, verifying things independently, and never ever sharing those codes. That is the firewall inside your own head that can't be breached. So, I'll leave you with this one question to think about. The next time you get that text or that urgent call from your bank's quote-unquote fraud department, will you react or will you remember what we talked about today? Is it really them? Because your answer to that question could be worth everything you have.